Welcome to James Dean Residential. We are delighted that we have been able to assist you with securing a new home and are looking forward to providing you with great real estate service throughout your tenancy. At James Dean Residential, we appreciate that your time is valuable and have therefore created this short new tenant information presentation in which we aim to provide you with general information regarding the paperwork you're about to sign, as well as outline some of the more commonly asked questions or matters that may occur throughout the duration of your tenancy. We strongly recommend that you have a pen and paper handy so that you can make notes throughout this presentation as needed, which you can discuss with your property manager in further detail at the end of this presentation before signing the documents. Throughout this presentation, we make reference to the Residential Tenancies Authority, otherwise referred to in Queensland as the RTA. The RTA is a state government department which provides tenants, owners and agents independent information as to how the Act is administered and also holds tenants' bonds for the duration of their tenancy. The RTA can be contacted during office hours via the details on this page. The Act which governs tenancies in Queensland is called the Residential Tenancies and Rooming Accommodation Act of 2008. The General Tenancy Agreement which you are about to enter into refers to sections in this Act. Before you sign your paperwork, we take this opportunity to remind tenants that this presentation is designed to give tenants a general overview of the documentation you're about to receive without going into every aspect of the tenancy. Tenants should therefore take the time to read each document carefully before signing, as you'll be bound to these agreements once signed. We further remind tenants that clear communication between parties in all tenancy aspects greatly mitigates the potential for future issues to arise in most cases. With this in mind, some of these documents have been provided to you so we can proactively make you aware of common procedures or matters that may occur throughout the duration of your tenancy. We will now give you an overview of all of the documentation included in your tenancy sign-up pack, which should be in order in front of you. Firstly, you have the official documentation, being the RTA Form 18A General Tenancy Agreement with Special Terms and Conditions, an RTA Form 17A Information Statement, and an RTA Form 2 Bond Lodgement Form. The remaining documents are acknowledgements which you will be required to sign at the end of this presentation. These acknowledgements include a tenant information letter, the rent arrears procedure acknowledgement, agent tenant smoke alarm responsibilities acknowledgement, a troubleshooting checklist, a tenant maintenance request form, a console online agent registration letter, and a rent payment information letter. We will now go through each of these documents in further detail in an attempt to give you a better understanding of what you are about to sign. The Tenant Information Letter outlines some of our office policies and procedures which you may need to know from time to time throughout the duration of your tenancy. The Rent Arrears Acknowledgement Letter outlines our office policies and procedures to tenants in the unlikely event that your rent should fall into arrears. While we do not anticipate you have any problems with your rent payments, we believe that tenants should be aware of the seriousness of not paying rent when due and the potential consequences following a default in tenancy. If we have not received a rent payment from you within 4 days after it is due, you will receive communication from our office, normally via SMS, advising that your payment is late. If you receive this communication, please call the office immediately to discuss your rent payments. If after 8 days your rent remains unpaid, you will be issued with a Form 11 Notice to Remedy Breach. Upon receiving this notice, you will have 7 days in which to rectify the breach. If you fail to rectify the breach by the expiry of this notice, you will be issued with a Form 12 Notice to Leave. Please note that being issued with either a Form 11 or a Form 12 is a serious matter and will be disclosed to any agents, owners or credit providers seeking a reference for your tenancy. After receiving a Form 12, you will be required to vacate the property or alternatively pay all outstanding arrears, as well as returning to me in a week in advance by the expiry of this notice. Please note that if you pay all outstanding arrears, you must seek written confirmation from either the owner or agent allowing your tenancy to continue. If you fail to pay outstanding rent or vacate the property by the expiry of this Form 12 notice, further action will be taken against you in the Queensland Civil and Administrative Tribunal, also known as QCAT. It is important for tenants to know that costs associated with this form of action may be added to the tenant's final account. Tenants who do not pay final accounts within the allotted timeframe can also be lodged on TICA, which is the Tenancy Information Centre of Australia, as defaulting tenants, and this may affect their chances of renting again until the debt is cleared. The next document is the Smoke Alarm Responsibilities Acknowledgement. This document outlines both the owner's and tenant's obligations in relation to smoke alarms before and during a tenancy. In brief, the Act states that an owner must ensure smoke alarms throughout the property are tested and cleaned within 30 days of a new tenancy commencing, which also includes lease renewals. Tenants must, for tenancies of 12 months or longer, test and clean the smoke alarms every 12 months. Tenants must also replace any batteries which are flat or going flat and advise their agent if they become aware that the smoke alarm has failed or is going to fail. It is illegal for anyone to interfere with the operation of a smoke alarm unless you are changing a battery or replacing the alarm. If you are unable to meet your smoke alarm obligations, please contact our office and we can arrange a contractor to do this work for you on your behalf. The next document is a tenant maintenance request form, which is self-explanatory. Please note that all maintenance must be submitted to your agent in writing. The troubleshooting checklist lists some common appliances and inclusions of your property which may stop working from time to time. We ask tenants to go through this checklist before reporting a problem, as in some cases you may be able to rectify the issue by following the outlined steps. If you have a maintenance problem that is not included in the checklist, or you cannot rectify the problem after troubleshooting, submit a maintenance request form to our office so we can arrange to have this attended to. The Console Online Agent Letter outlines how tenants can register to access this web portal for basic information on your tenancy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Tenants can access information such as current pay-to dates, approximate dates of the next inspection, log and track maintenance requests, and also contact your agent. To take advantage of this facility, follow the registration instructions outlined in the letter or talk to your property manager. Lastly, we have provided you with a rent payment information document. This document states when your next rent payment is due after your tenancy commences and the various methods of rent payment facilities that James Dean Residential offers. Please note that charges may apply to some of these rent payment methods. We will now discuss with you what makes up a Form 18A General Tenancy Agreement. It is important that tenants understand that the General Tenancy Agreement is a legally binding contract between the tenant and an owner of a property, and that the agent acts on behalf of the owner as a third party to the agreement. Part 1 outlines the tenancy details of the agreement. Part 2 outlines the standard terms. Please note standard terms are law and cannot be negotiated. Part 3 outlines the special terms and conditions. Special terms and conditions will form part of your agreement, however must be written in conjunction with the Act. If you are renting a strata title townhouse or apartment, you will also receive body corporate bylaws. Body corporate bylaws will form part of your tenancy agreement, and tenants who are in breach of these bylaws will also be in breach of their tenancy agreement. Finally, in conjunction with the tenancy agreement, under law we are also required to provide new tenants with a copy of the RTA Form 17A information statement. We will now go through the General Tenancy Agreement, Part 1, Tenancy Details with you, item by item to ensure the agreement is correct. If you note any errors, please note these so they can be corrected before signing the documentation. Item 1.1 and 1.2 states the owner's details for the agreement. Please note that owners are to be contacted by James Dean Residential and not directly unless otherwise stated. Items 2.1 and 2.2 states the tenant's details for the agreement. Please ensure that your names, contact numbers and email addresses are correct. Please also ensure that if these details happen to change throughout the tenancy, that you advise our office immediately so we can update our system. If you prefer your address for service is amended, please advise us before signing this document. Item 3.1 states the agent's details that will form part of this tenancy agreement. Item 4 verifies whether parties to this agreement agree to receive correspondence via email or facsimile. You will note in item 4.1 that the lessor cannot be contacted directly unless otherwise stated, and therefore all correspondence must be submitted to your owner via our agency. In relation to notice delivery, we briefly refer to Standard Term 44 of the General Tenancy Agreement. Our office commonly sends notices to tenants via regular mail or email if approved. please ensure that you understand this section in particular and note that notices are deemed to be served when a notice sent by post is taken to be received when it would have been delivered in the ordinary course of post, or a notice sent by email is taken to be received by the recipient when the email enters the recipient server. Please note that in both instances, service is not considered to be served simply when a tenant opens the relevant notice. Items 5.1 and 5.2 states the address of the rental premises and the inclusions provided as a part of this agreement. We will discuss inclusions and the condition report in further detail shortly. Item 6.1, 6.2 and 6.3 states the term of the agreement, the starting date and the ending date of the agreement. Item 7 states the rent amount for the property each week. Item 8 states when the rent must be paid. Items 9 and 10 states the methods of payments available to the tenant and where payments can be made. Item 11 states the bond amount under the agreement. Items 12.1 and 12.2 states the services applied to the premises that the tenant must pay for and if they are liable for water usage. Note, please refer to Standard Term 17 and the special terms and conditions in this agreement for further information on water charging. Item 13 outlines how service charges are calculated if a service or services are not individually metered at the property. This section is commonly left blank. Item 14 states how the tenants must pay for these services. Item 15 states the number of permitted occupants allowed to reside at the premises under this agreement. Please note tenants must seek written approval from the agent prior to making any changes to the approved number of occupants allowed to reside at the property. Items 16.1 and 16.2 states if there are any body corporate bylaws applicable to your tenancy. If you are renting a strata title townhouse or apartment, both of these boxes should be ticked yes. Items 17.1 and 17.2 states if pets have been approved and the type and number of pets approved. Again, tenants must seek written approval from the owner or agent prior to making any changes to the approved number and types of pets allowed to be kept at the property. Item 18 states the owner's nominated repairers for emergency repairs. Please refer to Standard Term 30, 31, 32 and 33 for further information about routine and emergency repairs. To further explain the difference between an emergency and routine repair, we refer you to Standard Term 30 of the General Tenancy Agreement. This standard term outlines what constitutes an emergency repair and further states that all repairs which are not classified as an emergency are considered to be routine repairs. We ask that tenants report all maintenance items, be they routine or emergency repairs, to our office in the first instance where possible, and only contact the nominated repairers in the agreement if our office is uncontactable. We now refer to page 8 of the agreement, part 3, special terms and signatures. As previously stated, please ensure that you read and understand each of the special conditions before signing this document, as these form part of the agreement. When you are satisfied with the agreement, please sign in the boxes under your respective names, or alternatively, wait for your property manager who will instruct you as to where to sign. The RTA Form 2 bond lodgement, as pictured, is a form which is sent to the RTA in conjunction with your bond payment. Please check that this form has been completed correctly before signing. As previously stated, the RTA holds your bond for the duration of the tenancy. The bond will be refunded to the tenant via the RTA following the end of a tenancy and once all matters relating to the tenancy are finalised. So, what happens next? You will receive copies of the paperwork you have just signed. If requested, these can be emailed to you. James Dean Residential will lodge your bond with the RTA in accordance with the Act. If you have not already done so, please ensure that you have arranged the relevant services, like electricity, to be connected at your property. Tenants can collect the keys and the entry condition report from our office at 9 AM on the start date of your tenancy. We remind tenants that keys cannot be given out prior to the start date of the agreement due to insurance implications. Once you have collected the keys for your property, you must return the entry condition report within 3 days. We are about to go through the entry condition report process with you in further detail. We will, however, go through this process again with you when you collect the keys. How to complete your entry condition report. The Form 1A Entry Condition Report is one of, if not the most important document in your tenancy. We stress to tenants that this document, and any photos taken in conjunction with this report, represents the condition of the property at the beginning of your tenancy. This document is also used to determine and compare the condition of the property when you eventually vacate. It is therefore essential that you check and complete this report very carefully and take additional photos as needed to support any additional comments you add to this form. Otherwise, at the end of the tenancy, you may be liable for any changes, excluding fair wear and tear, when you vacate the property. Again, we remind you that the condition report must be returned to our office within 3 days. It is important to us that all parties agree to the condition of the property at this stage of the tenancy to avoid any potential disputes when you eventually vacate. If you fail to return this report within 3 days, any comments you make after this time will be null and void. Finally, remember to keep a copy of this report, as well as all other tenancy documents, in a safe place. During the tenancy, if you follow these basic tenant obligations, which are outlined further in the special terms and conditions of the agreement, the chances of issues affecting your tenancy will be greatly reduced. Ensure rent is paid when due and in the way written in the tenancy agreement. Abide by the terms and conditions of your general tenancy agreement, including bylaws if applicable, at all times. Follow the rules set out in the Residential Tenancies and Rooming Accommodation Act 2008. Ensure lawns, gardens and hedges, etc. are maintained on a regular basis. Ensure the property is kept in a neat and tidy condition at all times. And obtain permission from James Dean Residential in writing prior to making any changes to the property or your tenancy agreement, regardless of how small these may seem. For example, using nails in walls, installing foxtel, removing trees or plants, allowing additional occupants to reside at the property, or approving additional pets. Further to the previous comments, ensure you and your guests respect your neighbour's right to quiet enjoyment. Ensure you and your guests do not damage the property. Only use the premises as your home unless permission is otherwise granted in writing. Do not use your home for an illegal purpose. Tenants need to arrange their own contents insurance if they require coverage. Ensure all maintenance issues are promptly reported to James Dean Residential in writing. If you are unsure about a tenancy related matter, ask your property manager for advice. Most importantly, enjoy your new home. Please remember that all repairs or maintenance requests must be submitted to our office in writing. This can be done by any of the following options: email, fax, via our website, via online agent, or via an official maintenance request form. A helpful hint is to submit a photo of the maintenance issues you are reporting to our office when you submit the maintenance request. Looking toward the future, here are a few important facts you must know prior to ending a tenancy. Remember that a tenancy agreement does not automatically end on the expiry date of a fixed term agreement. Minimum notice periods apply to both parties prior to ending an agreement. Notice to terminate an agreement must be submitted in writing on the approved form. This concludes our presentation. We thank you for taking the time to view our new tenant information presentation, and we hope this has given you a better understanding of the tenancy process. If you have any further questions about this information presentation, please discuss with your property manager, who will join you shortly. Alternatively, if you wish to discuss any other aspects of your tenancy, please contact a friendly James Dean Residential Property Manager via any of the methods you can see on your screen. We wish you all the best for your new tenancy.